Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fine edition of the Beers and Deers Pack.
You cracking on one? All right.
There it is.
Cheers, boys.
As always,
All
the
right.
Guillotine Rambo Tower Power. We have a special guest tonight. Guillotine, why don't you introduce our guest for us?
I don't know if I know your dad, so your last name, is it Bell?
My last name is Bell. First name is where it
Okay.
gets a little tricky.
Yeah. So I'll let you pronounce your first name. I know you go by Hal for short.
I go by Hal for short because Hal Jordan is the man. But Haleba is my actual name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Scoot a little closer to this mic.
I'm going to hang that down a little bit.
Yeah, I can come down a little for you. But yeah, lady, we are here, and we're not queer. Oh, not most of the time. Every once in a while.
That's up for debate there.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask.
You sent me a selfie
Ask
with
any
a
one of
fanny
my
on it.
Good start, so far.
So, Hal is our guest of the night. And Hal, where are you from?
I am from Newcastle, Delaware.
Were you born and raised?
Born and raised, still there to this day. Moved out a couple times, but I can't go too far from home, you know.
Right there.
I'm traditional in that sense, you know. I'd rather stay home and build there than move on and go somewhere else to start anew, you know.
We live in an awesome area. I mean, I love just the Delaware River, like we got mountains right up north. We've got the beach right here. I mean,
That's right.
It's like Little America is what they've called Maryland, and Delaware's, right there with us.
It's hard to beat this area in general, you know. People tell me all the time, so why don't you go here, why don't you go there as well. You got to think about life in general. It doesn't matter where you are, you're going to get pissed off if you're there for too long.
Yeah.
If you don't get a chance to get away and experience some new things, it's going to get draining, you know. But when I look at Delaware and I look at the place that I come from, first off, being a business owner, I want to stay in a tax-free environment, you know.
Right.
That's a nice
Taxes,
thing.
you know, biggest issue that we can face today, especially with what's going on now. I mean, stimulus just being signed yesterday.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at some
Serious taxes.
some serious some serious monetary issues.
But we'll get $1,400 out.
$1,400.
You're gonna
free money.
There's
Yeah.
no such thing as
Oh
free
my
money.
God.
There
Oh
is
my
no-
God, but what do you mean?
Uncle Sam will always get his.
Yes.
Right. So I mean, you got the tax advantage. You got look at hospitals. I mean, being a parent, it's important for me to have good hospital care around. I have my own physical conditions that aren't always so great to deal with. I spent a lot of time in hospitals when I was younger myself. So having access to good medical care, not free, but good, is important. And you look at this general area, you have some of the top 5 hospitals in the country.
Yeah.
You look at city life, urban life. You've got New York 2 hours away, 2 hours, 30 minutes. You got Philadelphia 30, 40 minutes away. So, works great for me. And like I said, if you want to get out, that story doesn't change no matter where you live.
Exactly.
You know, gotta take a break, gotta take a breath
People
every once
get
in a while.
destination, happiness. They think going somewhere is gonna make you happy, but it doesn't matter where you are. That isn't gonna change the way your outlook on life. You
People
know,
think it's just going to change
Right.
their life.
yeah,
Like an epiphany.
You got to make the best of your situation wherever you're at. And, that shit doesn't matter.
You know, happiness is pretty interesting to me. It's an interesting topic to me as well that I bring up often. A lot of people pursue happiness, and I gotta say, like, as a person, as an individual, that's not something that I ever strive for. You know, happiness is a side effect. It means that you're doing what you're doing and you're doing it the right way. You're opening the doors to allow happiness. But when you look at it as a goal, that's where things get tricky.
Yeah.
It
can't. It's not feasible. It's not. Happiness isn't like some kind of tangible thing that you can just get. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Right.
not like you just achieve it. It's just,
Do what you love, and it'll come naturally.
like hunting. I mean, that's the more time I spend out in the woods, is the happier I seem to be personally.
Yeah, we make enormous sacrifices as hunters. You know, putting up with the elements, putting up with the misery of missing a shot or
You know all about
that. We don't. We all.
Yeah.
You know,
Everybody does.
This year alone, I've had so many close calls and so many, or shall I say, last year, or this past season at least. That split moment where you have to make that decision to take this shot or wait for the better one later. You want to scare away the deer.
Well, I'm
from
2 for
the
2.
primary.
You tell me.
Shooting 100, huh?
I'm about 4 for 4. Yeah, but
So, we got some questions here, Al. We can run down these, and we'll do these pretty much. I line these up for any of the guests that we have on, and traditionally anybody we have on hunts. So we ask these questions, and
certainly.
they're like rapid fire, man. I'm gonna shoot them at you. Tell me how you feel about it. quick answers, and we'll run through them.
I can't read any of this.
I can't. That's like hieroglyphics.
Right.
All right. So now, if you use calls, do you prefer a grunt tube or a bleat?
I will go with both depending on the season. Obviously, early season I'm going to go with bleat. And then a little bit later, pre-rut and more in the rut, I'll go with the grunts.
Good. Yep, I agree. Would you rather hunt in the evening or the morning?
Oh, goddamn day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely don't like getting out there in the mornings. Just time constraints and whatnot. It's not preferable. But at the same time, if you want to make the most of the moment, then you get out there early. So I would say early. I would say sunrise to 1 to 2 p.m.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite recipe that you use your deer meat for?
Duck Commander. They have a little recipe where you take the back straps, just like some real thin, you can practically see through it. You give them a nice soak in a mix of buttermilk, pepper, and egg. Let them soak overnight, marinate nice and good. You can let it go for a day and a half if you want. Then you give it just a nice, flour, plain flour. Throw it in the fryer.
Oh,
nice
wow. Okay. Oh, that sounds good.
If you haven't had that recipe yet, absolutely, you got to try it.
That sounds pretty fucking
It's
good.
like butter. It's a mix between butter and a McDonald's chicken nugget. That's the venison.
Nothing wrong with that.
Now, broadheads, I know you say you bow hunt, so
That's right.
Do you have a favorite broadhead that you like to use?
I couldn't say. No
favorite.
100 grams is all that really matters to me. Yeah.
All right. Do you have a favorite rifle caliber that you like to use?
Well, it depends on what I'm going. If I'm with muzzleloader, I'm definitely 50 cal. Shotgun, I always go 12 gauge. And I couldn't really speak outside of that because that's pretty much primarily what I go with.
You guys can't rifle in Delaware, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
I
That
mean,
sucks.
I forgot about that.
A lot of the gun dealers, when I was looking for that Savage at 6.5 Creedmoor,
Yep.
went to a lot of Delaware dealers. They told me that I'm in stock hunting rifles because they can't.
That makes
They're-
sense.
They don't.
But-
you can't.
But
the
if I'm a
right
gun
one.
shop in Delaware, I know out-of-state people are coming to Delaware to save
that's right.
tax.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So why in the fuck wouldn't you sell the goddamn rifles?
Well, I mean, they
you'd
probably
think.
have it figured out.
And I'm talking I'm talking gun shops are only 10 minutes from here,
Yeah.
15 minutes from here.
It'd make
Yeah.
more sense for them to
That's
take
like
advantage.
like
You would hope
X-ring.
that they do
You'd
actually think that through. but
He's like,
maybe-
man, I got a lot of guys coming in. And you should probably stock them. A couple on hand. Yeah.
Yeah, as far as long range go, the only thing we get is like a 22. You can only use it south of the C&D Canal.
Yeah.
Really?
It's not
Yep.
ideal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're,
I
they're
mean-
tough in Delaware on rifles.
What is it, like two or three counties in Maryland you can use a rifle? So
Yeah, there's not many in Maryland either. I know Cecil obviously is one of them. Hartford you can't.
No.
Kent you can. Right?
It just suck in general that we have all these regulations in the
restrictions.
first place.
There shouldn't be
there's
regulations.
pros to Delaware and there's pros to Maryland and
Yeah.
there's cons on either side as well. I mean, I carry my pistol everywhere I go with me, but not when I'm going to Maryland.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
that's
with you
because
there.
of how Maryland laws. It's brutal.
What do you do?
They're tough with handgun laws.
Speaking of that 6.5 Creedmoor, I have to get that on for a review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe next week.
I like that. All right, two more. All right, would you rather hunt inside the timber in the woods or on a field edge?
I might have better luck on the field edge, but I tend to go with timber.
Yeah.
Reason being because I do most of my hunting in the C&D Canal.
Okay.
So
Yeah, mostly that's all you got there. You don't have a
right.
whole lot of field.
that's right.
All right, now if you could only hunt one day out of the year, what day would you pick?
Weekend before special analysts, the first round.
Okay, I like that. Yep. Yeah, see, Delaware's got all these different seasons compared
I don't even
to
know what
Maryland.
he's talking about.
It's tough.
I know
Is
either.
that
It was
right?
like foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're your special antlerless
Yeah.
that's when you can hunt a bunch of does, right?
That's right.
And you
Yeah.
can use shotgun.
Yeah, buttons and does. That's
Yeah.
right. Shotgun before the season actually opens up. So,
Oh.
I mean, it's the toughest time, especially for me since I hunt public lands. That as soon as special comes around, it's packed everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You gotta find a nice spot where you can go at least 300 yards without seeing the truck parked up on the
Yeah.
side.
Oh,
wow.
It's really difficult.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I've done my fair share of public land hunting, and no thanks.
Public land hunting's hard, man.
It's
You know,
rough.
I like public land hunting. It does give you a challenge.
Oh, good on you, because I hate it.
I hate it too.
Well, it's a love hate, should I say?
It's a hate.
For me this year, yeah, it's a lot of hate this year. That's
Yeah.
for sure, man. I saw a lot of other hunters out
It's
there.
not bad late season because everyone's pretty much a lot of the older guys that hunt public property, and a lot of people start to wash their hands when it gets really cold out there. So late season, it's not too bad as far as people go.
Yes, but the
But
deer,
your odds are still
the
really
deer
low.
are so rattled.
So you don't deal with a lot of people, but the deer are all shook up.
Yeah.
So it's
The biggest problem we had this year, sorry to cut you off there, was the tornado that ripped through Middletown
Yeah.
to Bear, Delaware, and that was my prime hunting location.
Yeah.
And I saw something this year that I've never seen before, which is, they all grouped together and got the hell out of there. And just hunting around that area, you walk through, 200 yards of trees just laid down prime location. And they were just gone. It took me probably 3 weeks just to find out where they had actually been,
Wow.
covering a 4-mile radius.
No shit.
they'll be back.
Yeah, the good thing about those trees being cut in half and folded down, it's going to create prime
areas.
bedding
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
So
hopefully next year. Yeah,
Next
this
year
it
we
was
should be
bad.
able
It
to
was bad.
capitalize on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
That'll be interesting because I never even considered that with all the damage from that.
it
storm.
ripped through there
It was
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah, it was bad. It was unbelievable to see it actually. And I had only moved away from that area about a week before it hit.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would have been there smack dab in the middle of it.
Middletown, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it started in Middletown and it ripped up across the C&D to Bear.
Yeah, Summit Airport was all fucked up.
Yeah.
'Cause I work in Middletown. I drove by Summit Airport. I was in. I think I was in Winston at that time for work.
Yeah.
And I came back and was driving back to the distribution center I work at, and Summit was all fucked up. I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck happened there, though?
Yeah, if you go over the bridge and look down to the right, you can see all the
Yeah, it's
trees.
right there.
just
Yeah, everyone was
snap
like,
right
yeah,
in
a
half.
tornado ripped through Middletown. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
It was multiple. I mean, you can see it out there hunting the lands. You can see that at least 2 of them actually touched down.
That's
And I live
crazy.
right there on Summit, or I did at the time. It was really unfortunate.
I remember
for my season.
driving down to Smyrna, and on the right hand side, if you're coming from this way, I mean there was just houses with roofs ripped off and everything. It was,
Yeah, I saw
wild,
that.
man.
Well,
Saw
fucking, I lived in Missouri for a fucking year.
Yeah, so
And
you
so
know
tornadoes.
about that.
I'm like, yeah, fucking. I would drive into work with a tornado blowing next to me. I'd be like, ah, fuck, it's a tornado, dude. Who gives a fuck?
Oh man.
As long as it doesn't start cutting towards me, we're good. Don't worry about it. And I came
Come
back
the way,
then, but I'm like a fucking tornado in Middletown, Delaware. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're not prepared for it out
Yeah.
here. You know what I mean? It's definitely not. The housing isn't built for like that. you know?
Bingo.
The housing in Middletown and Delaware Bear area isn't really built for anything.
Dude,
to
my
be honest.
parents, they've been in Missouri for almost 10 years now. They live in Missouri, and the houses, the basements are fucking like solid. They're designed for tornadoes.
Yeah, and they don't have like vinyl siding.
No,
either.
they use Trex. Is it Trex?
Track board.
Yeah. You will not see vinyl siding in the Midwest. You just won't see it.
I went out there to
okay.
visit you,
Yeah.
and it was just like constant 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this
Dude.
fucking sucks.
My Ram at the time, my Dodge Ram.
Yeah.
You just got so like, the wind is never down in the Midwest, ever. It's always windy.
Mm-hmm.
Wind just cuts through your weather stripping and fucking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You pick me up from the airport, and it's just a constant whistle coming through the weather.
Oh yeah,
stripping.
you fly
I
into
said, what the fuck's wrong with this thing?
you fly into Kansas City, bro. Buckle up because the
Yeah.
landing is
Yeah.
going to be.
It was sketchy.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope this guy knows what he's doing.
I lived out in Amarillo for 8 months. So
Windy
when
out
I was
there,
working
too.
on the road, same deal. It's miserable, man.
There's
That's-
no hills or trees that cut it down.
That's more reason to love where we're at, right here in the tri-state area, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this part of the country is. I mean, it's a beautiful part. I've been all over this country, and I love it here. I mean, it is a nice place to live.
We get all the seasons as well, which I
Yep.
really enjoy that change. You
Yeah,
know?
I like by the time winter's over, I'm like, all right, I'm tired of winter. And then by the time summer's over, I'm like, it's fucking hot. I'm ready for some cool weather. You know.
And we kind of get all the seasons, but not like to the extreme like other states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
We
we
get a
get
nice
winter, but
mix.
it's not like
Brutal
8
winter.
feet of snow every winter.
We
We
get-
get heat,
yeah.
but it's not like Texas heat or
least-
Florida heat. I'll take one. May as well get one.
So, how? Hold on. Let me grab a beer. You want one, Johnny?
yeah.
We pound some brews on this thing.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all, give it a try.
We're
Give it a
just
try. Crack
unloading.
that
Yeah,
top
how
shot.
do you do that?
I learned this when I was living in Wildwood,
So
New
how?
Jersey.
Walk our listeners through, because some people ain't watching the video. What are you talking about doing with your beer?
All right, so I learned this in Jersey, guys. You can see it there. It's very redneck, so it should fit you guys really nicely, right? All you gotta do is just crack that top, push the top in. You get a little bit of a better airflow. If any of you guys are wine drinkers at all,
cut my
you know,
finger off.
I'll drink
You know,
some vino.
All right. So
Think good on
basically,
that.
Fuck you.
what he's doing is he's pushing down on the tab, and it's opening the back end of your beer up, And it makes sense. I've heard this somewhere before, but it basically opens up the fucking can so that air can flow through it.
Yeah, you get a better airflow. Takes more of those flavonoids that stay hit your tongue. So that's smoother.
Using big words. That's so.
Don't get me started.
How? Now, I know you're into politics, and obviously, I'd say the majority of our listeners are very avid advocates of the Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
And we're really getting under fire here with our Second Amendment rights here lately. I mean, what? How can that pertain to hunting, and how do you think that maybe, possibly, if we lose our Second Amendment rights, how that's going to affect hunting as a whole and for anybody in our country? I mean, for me personally, I look at it and it's like, if the Second Amendment goes, the First Amendment's practically gone, right? So it's practically gone. It's gone. Like you can't. There is no freedom of speech. I mean, all across any social media platforms, all your speech is monitored, and they're on top of whatever you say, and they're trying to, they're trying to cancel everything, and everybody's offended by anything. And then now they're going at the Second, and the problem with the Second, and don't get me wrong, I got problems with what they're doing with the First, but the Second is then hunting is going to be on the table next. It really is, because they take your guns, then they're gonna. That's just the way things are going to go. And nothing stops. They never just want to. And once you lose something, they never give it back. It's not like the government's just going to take something from you and decide, okay, all right, well, it's good now. We're going to give it back. You know what I mean? It don't work like that. So I guess my question for you is what the hell can we do and to try and benefit and try to keep hunting and the way of life that we have here? And
well, as with everything in politics is all about making regulations and making guidelines that appeal to everybody. And the big problem that we have, I don't want to generalize anything here, but as a more conservative-leaning people, is that we are ostracized from the rest of the community. The biggest thing that I see from my generation alone, as the millennials, I'm not even going to get into Gen Z right now because they're...
For fuck's sake, guys, get it together.
Who's Gen Z?
I'm not concerned with the rants of children.
That's what they are. They're children.
Yeah, they don't have enough life experience to really realize how these different things are going to play in their lives. They haven't had the time to grow up and see their specific path. All they really see is their identity. It's not all of them, absolutely.
It's a good bit.
It's a good bit. But when we're talking about politics, and really when you're talking about anything, you need to look at how the ideology runs out by judging it by the extreme. So we have to look at what's going to happen in the most extreme case. Unfortunately, hunting is really the only safe space when it comes to your First Amendment rights. It's the only argument that we have that people can say, all right, well, we don't want to take away your means for survival, for food. And it's really unfortunate that it's gotten to that point. If you look at the actual statistics on these things, and you look at, the most dangerous weapons, they're hunting weapons.
Yeah.
So, once we allow for that argument to get to the point of, the most necessary use, which actually I wouldn't even say is hunting, I would say it's self-defense.
Right.
Man, it's a crazy topic.
So, and that's the thing, like, you got to think about that. So, like, if, for me, from the perspective of someone who would want to take away your Second Amendment rights, a really good way to do that would be to ban hunting, because then it removes one of the main arguments for why you need firearms. And that's something that I've always been concerned about and leery of, and I'm just like, man, if that ever happens, I'm strapping up. Like,
this is why I say, this is why I opened it the way that I did. As I don't want to put you guys in a box or anything like that, but as people who lean more towards constitutional conservatives, I make that distinction as between a conservative and a constitutional conservative, because when people think conservative, they think about somebody who is what we would call traditional American values, which in most cases would just be called racist nowadays.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
That is
ridiculous.
And I make the clear distinction of not being a Republican, because I look at them as every other form of government who they've got their own agenda, and they're not really in the interest of the people. That's why I take the moniker of a libertarian and a constitutional conservative, specifically constitutional, because the Constitution ultimately is the one thing that binds us all together.
And it's the single document that has lasted for over 200 years and has ran this country better than any country in the history of the fucking earth. And now they're trying to make these changes and take these things away, and it's
Well, see, it's extremely important for us to get outside of the norm of conservatism and actually start to speak more to the community. You know, I used to be an Uber driver. I drive around University of Delaware. You know, and what am I doing driving around?
Use them a couple nights.
You know, driving around University of Delaware. What am I doing? I'm picking up girls at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning that are afraid to walk around on their own. You know, and they would tell me, it's like, you know, I don't really want to get an Uber right now, but I don't feel safe walking home. You know, and I say, well, tell me, how would you feel if you had a firearm in your pocket right now?
Yeah.
You know, and I've never heard anybody say anything other than, actually, that sounds good.
Yeah, it'd feel a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be communicated. I mean, these people that are the loudest voices in our society nowadays are the most uninformed.
Yeah,
you know?
and they're the crybaby. They're typically liberal that have. You know, and I'm not saying all liberals are bad. I'm not.
I am.
Saying. I'm not saying that. But the what's typical you ever hear anymore is it's like there's this group of people that are offended by everything, and the rest of us are just going to have to cater to them.
What happened? Where was the shift?
I got
what
so
happened?
much. Like, I'm just bottled up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's almost difficult to start because
This is
overflow.
okay. Let's start here.
Yeah.
So, myself. So, what makes me sick? What this country has just come to. You can't. It's almost to the point where, in this day and age, a Republican and Democrat can't even date.
Yeah.
No,
I can't be friends with a Democrat. I can't be friends with him because he's a Republican. Like, fuck it. Like, you have your fucking views, like
Your values. Yeah.
like on Tinder. I'm on Tinder.
Yeah.
Swipe right or swipe left if you're a fucking Republican. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Shut up.
And there's
Is it really on
there?
there?
Yeah.
There's a term for that where it's like these compartmentalized.
Just
like,
because people have different views, it doesn't mean you have to hate each other or not fucking like.
Nowadays it does.
But it's been made into that. And let me say something about the fucking.
be.
Let me say something about the fucking guns. The first thing communist countries fucking do is they fucking take the guns from the fucking civilians.
Exactly.
Because they want their fucking. They want the population of that country powerless.
Yes.
Now, I want a fucking gun for home defense. I want a gun for fucking hunting. My fucking forefathers, fucking millions of fucking lives were laid down for me to have that goddamn right.
That's right.
So, I mean, I can have a gun because, I mean, you don't know what the fuck is going to happen in this world.
No.
no idea.
If this fucking world collapses, the economy crashes, who knows? It's my right to have a gun.
Right,
and that gun is more than a gun. It's livelihood.
Yeah.
I may need that gun to hunt.
your last
I
stand.
may need that gun when someone kicks my fucking door and tries to kill my family.
Yep.
That gun is that's life. You know what I mean? And it comes at the argument with that is always it's the inner city, it's the guys shooting each other. Look, if these guys aren't going to kill each other with fucking guns, they're going to kill each other with fucking knives and with Mazel Tov cocktails. It don't fucking matter.
Look at the death rates.
Homemade bombs,
in
like
Australia,
it doesn't
you know?
matter. If you take a fucking gun away from them, they're going to get them anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to fucking get them. It doesn't matter.
And the only thing that's going to
Very
stop
well
a bad
said.
guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
That's right.
It does. I mean, it doesn't.
And you know what else
it
isn't
doesn't
going to
matter.
stop a bad guy with a gun? Regulations.
Yeah, you're damn right. It's
They don't
not.
care.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Drugs are
population-
illegal.
This country is flooded with weapons. We got them. You ain't taking them.
Yeah.
Hey,
Come and take it. You're not gonna
take it.
because you just can't. You can't.
No.
It's done. It's done. Everyone's got fucking
the
guns.
cat's out of the bag.
The cat's out of the bag. You missed that train
Yeah.
100 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, when we had muskets in our fucking hands, maybe,
Yeah.
but you ain't getting them.
No.
When I think about guns, the last thing I think about with my gun is hunting. That gun that I have sitting in the corner of my room, loaded, is for when somebody kicks my motherfucking door in.
Yep.
And
And
I
wants
got to
to
protect
take what
my.
you work for.
Yeah.
That's right.
I think when hurt me and my family, it's to subdue, kill that person.
Yeah.
And
It's
see,
not to kill a whitetail that I got on the wall.
But
And that is the American ideal. That's what we were founded on. You know, that's what the Constitution starts out by saying is that, well, to put it in a different way, you know, I'm of the belief that if you do something that doesn't hurt anybody else, that doesn't infringe upon anybody else's rights,
Let them do it.
let them do it.
Yep.
You know, we should be free to express ourselves to the fullest capacity, to be whoever we can be, as long as we're not infringing upon the rights of somebody else. You know, and in the case that somebody does try to take those rights, well, you know,
well, man, and everything can be abused
right.
and hurt people.
and will be.
And will
anything.
be.
Anything.
And that's why, we're a nation of laws, and we have laws but however, at the same time, I'm an adult. My government shouldn't have the right or authority to tell me what I can do with my money, what I can spend my money on. If I want to buy a gun and go shoot a gun, good. As long as I'm not breaking any laws, as long as I'm not going out shooting people or nothing like that, there's no reason they should be able to tell me what I can do in my free time and what I choose to do or what I choose to own. Therefore, any of that, the government is. There's no need for them to be involved in your everyday life and what we do as individuals. I understand there's a need for government, but to try minimally, yeah. They need to be here for things like like roads and stuff like that.
But that's about it.
Yeah, and
Honestly,
there's taxes and there's programs that there's things that they do that are good. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that it's all bad, but the problem is absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's a typical thing that you see. These people get into power and they start taking things, and they love it. They love taking these things, and they want to control more and more, and they want to control more aspects of our lives. And every year we're losing more and more to them. 200 years ago, our forefathers would have lost their shit over all the stuff that we're just rolling over for right now.
They would hate this more than what they left.
Yeah. Oh, it's worse than what... right now, America is worse than what they left. Yeah. We can't collect rainwater. We can't fucking hunt without fucking... And look, I understand. I like the Pittman-Robertson Act, and I think it's a good thing that taxes go to conservation and those things. So there's some good qualities to it. But my point is you can't do a lot of the things that we left England because we're doing to us.
So here's the deal. We fought for hundreds of years to make this country better. For us, right? You look at these look at the bills that these guys and the pork in them, and they fucking the bill the one before this one. And they're reading the pork in this. There's kids in fucking New York City without shoes on their fucking feet.
Veterans.
There's homeless veterans that fought for this country. And you're sending billions.
Nothing gets me like that.
You're sending billions of dollars to countries like
that hate us.
That hate us.
Yeah.
And you're not regulating the money you're giving it. You're just giving them blank checks.
And that's
I mean, in the case of Obama, sending $300 billion in cash on pallets to the same government that was backed by Soleimani.
Like I said, there are kids.
Ridiculous.
There are
Are you
kids.
kidding me?
There's kids starving in this county.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself first.
Yeah. Come on now, let's be realistic about these things.
And
that's the thing
issue
about
is that
politicians.
we're letting government do this job in the first place when realistically it should be up to the people.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm a fan of that a lot of people aren't is privatization. We need to organize our communities and govern our communities by ourselves. Honestly, the same way that the Amish do. There's a lot of things that the Amish do that I'm not a fan of.
Don't get us started.
He must have watched. He's been watching.
This is something I've spoken about for a long time. Is I'm not in agreement with a lot of things that the Amish do, but look at what the Amish do as a community. They're
as a community,
sustainable.
Yep.
And they don't just make enough to survive; they make an excess to become possibly some of the richest people, the richest demographic in this country. We don't know because we don't track their.
I don't
We
know.
back there. Yeah.
Are you gonna run? Are you gonna try to run for Senate or something?
I would probably say if I do enter into politics, Senate is the aim. But the thing with me is that unlike a lot of politicians, I have a little something called integrity.
You're not.
Yeah, I have no interest to enter politics as a career man. The only reason that I actually would enter that realm is to have a greater outreach with my message to improve the lives of people. Further than that, there's a lot of groundwork that has to be laid beforehand. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I can't really decide yet. That means me speaking in the political sphere.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that really bothers me is the communists. And a lot of people don't realize that everything that's going on right now is a war that's been happening for a long time. This isn't something I think you said it earlier. It's like, where did this all really start? It started in the 60s. It started with the ending of the regime in Russia. It started with, breaking down the communists point blank. And from that moment, they've been actually working on dividing us from the inside with our ideals, and it's the most potent thing that you can do, because once it starts, it doesn't stop. It continues to roll and roll and roll. Why? Because it sounds, at face value, it sounds like something that's extremely liberal and extremely good and compassionate. But, you're speaking to people who don't really have an understanding of how our government works and how it's intended to work. It's not intended to make everybody the same thing. It's intended to allow everybody to be whatever the hell they want, as long as they're free to be that.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, that's true.
What happened was we got off track when you put people. Yeah, sure. When you put people into power, money rules. Money is everything.
Of course.
So when you put people in power that are truly not for the making this country better, that's where we derail. It's not the country.
Why are there not term limits in Senate?
Right.
Oh my God.
It's how do I stuff my pockets while I'm in office or in my chair or my seat and get the fuck out.
Yeah. We need term
And
limits.
it's just this.
You really, I'm almost hesitant to get into this topic because it's such a big deal, but it's also extremely important right now. We have to look at what happened when we came off of the gold standard and why we came off of the gold standard. And I talk to people all the time trying to get them to understand exactly how this works. So I always use the same example. Look at a bank. You have $100. You go to the bank. You give them that $100 because you believe that when you want to go to the ATM or use that debit card, you're going to get that same value out of that at any point in time. But you're not taking that $100 and putting it in that account and it's just staying there in a safe somewhere. That's not what's happening.
Absolutely not.
The second
Banks are using your money.
Yeah, the second that you give them that $100, they want to loan it out to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So all you're really doing is giving it to the bank to hold with the trust that they're going to have it when you want to bring it
That's
out.
why they pay you interest because they're using it.
Right. And they barely pay you.
Very little. That's why you get interest.
Yeah, but it's almost nothing.
Yeah, but the more money you put in, the more
Yeah.
interest you get because they're using more of your money.
And see, all of this is dependent upon the loanee being able to pay back the money. And, that's what we ran into in 2008 with the housing crisis is, quite frankly, people weren't able to actually get that money back and it collapsed the system. And, I use that example of a bank because it's something that everybody can relate to. But what people have to realize is it's happening the reverse way with America. We are the loanee.
Yeah.
We are being loaned money. We are being loaned goods by other countries. And we can't pay it back.
Yeah.
And this all happened because of this system of trust. After the Second World War, everybody viewed the American dollar and American society as, the end-all, be-all, the pinnacle of success and trust. And the rest of the country, or the rest of the world, rather, had faith in that. And it wasn't misplaced.
Not at the
it's
time.
still true to this day, even though we're the biggest debtor in the world.
Right.
We're still the only thing keeping everything going.
We're
China has nothing if they don't
Still
have us
the
buying from
greatest
them.
economy in the world right now.
That's
the U.S. economy.
I hate to agree with that, so I'm not actually going to. we have the most power.
Yeah.
But we became consumerists in the process of switching us from a gold standard where we actually had value to switching us to loanees, dependents, and debtors.
Yeah.
And me, I'll disclose, I'm in a production, I don't want to disclose too much, but I'm in a production facility. And I've been with this company for a decade. And I'm seeing more product from Brazil. I'm seeing more product from the Czech Republic. I'm seeing more product from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this was a very USA-based company.
Yeah, it was
So
union, right?
I actually went through a plant closure myself.
Mm-hmm.
I just went through a plant closure. I'm in a new facility, thank God, in the same
that was
town.
scary, dude.
But that's just an example. I'm just one guy. Like I'm blessed to fucking still have a job, really, because they closed the fucking facility out.
And they're sending them overseas.
Yep. Well, so.
And I don't even knock the corporations for
Well,
going overseas.
and that's what that's what it comes down to. And that's look, it cost me $5 to make this here. It cost me $1 to make it there. It cost me $1 to get it shipped.
What are you
gonna do?
Obviously.
Yeah.
So
if your end game is to try to make money and create a return
but-
on your investment,
and you multiply what I went through times, God knows, a million companies
all
in the
throughout
country.
US.
Yeah, and it's just gotten so muddy
Yeah.
that it's just.
Yeah, but isn't that what Trump was trying to do by not taxing these big corporations so much? He was trying to bring them back.
Yeah,
Or-
but
I think
to
that
be
was the
honest
idea.
with you,
or what?
kind of.
Don't break my heart, Hal.
I hate to say it. I really did support Trump's policies. I like the guy. I even all the rhetoric that he brought forward. There was a lot of times he said stuff that just is like,
I loved
come
it.
on, man.
I loved every second of it. I loved it.
Look, to be honest with you, the ridicule that came from Trump, I don't mind. I'm not a passive aggressive type of person, I think ridicule is a great way to change people.
Yeah, sure.
I really think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, because again, you said a moment ago, like, what is it that really started all this? Well, it's the internet, it's social media. You know, it's likes and follows, and the fact is, all you have to do is say something that a bunch of other people agree with, and that gives you some type of power. And you don't have to be right. Actually, you don't want to be right, because most people
you just want to be liked.
Really dumb.
You just want to get that like button.
Most people are really dumb.
Most people are really dumb. That's unfortunate. It's the distribution. It's Price's law. That's just how things work. You know, the majority of people who actually understand what's going on, it's the square root of the square root. You know, that's not how society is working nowadays. Oh God.
You know what?
The average person is pretty fucking stupid, and you got to remember, 50% of the population is dumber than them.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I need to make my own fucking party, because I'm just like, there have been Democrats throughout history that have fucking run this country.
Sure.
Great.
Yeah, but those were old age Democrats.
We need to get back to that. Like, that's one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
Like, if I can say that to people who can actually hear this and understand, because you know, my starting point is that as conservatives, we have to start to speak out and we have to start to communicate with other people. And
that's the problem. Is conservatives don't.
Where do we start though? Where do we start? And you have to start, as I said earlier, if you want to understand what something is, take it to the extreme. Or vice versa, take it to the fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party? Now, this does not function today. This is not what it is today, but I'm going to tell you what it actually is. And you should all be very familiar with it, because you experience this every day, every millisecond of your life. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. When you have a thought, when you are thinking, who are you talking to?
Myself.
Me.
So you're talking to you. Who's talking to you? What is that?
You're conscious.
What's actually
You're
going
conscious.
on?
I mean, it's. I just
Like
I said,
if what you could be getting at, maybe you're getting at the fact that if you have a thought and you're talking to yourself, you're thinking to yourself, maybe who's talking to me is media, is the things, these outside sources that are
All right. Well, from a psychological standpoint, from the perspective of neuropsychology, what is referred to, what I've heard it referred to by some very reputable sources, Jordan Peterson.
Oh, it's a great book. 12 Rules for Life is an awesome book.
That's right. His new book, I haven't
read it yet, but I will.
So he describes it as the you who you are conversing with the you that makes you who you will be. It is a very fundamental truth. It is how we think, it is how we move, it is how we change, it's how we describe ourselves as humans. And I think the Republican and Democratic Party, the reason that we have this two-party system, a lot of people say, oh, death to the two-party system, they don't reflect our interests, but they don't really understand what the fundamentals of that is. The Republican Party is the you who you are. The Democratic Party is the you that makes you who you will be. So the job of the Republican Party is to identify certain characteristics that must be maintained. And the job of the Democratic Party is to update that system as need be to speak for the disenfranchised. We have to get back to that, to true liberals, to classic liberals, to classic Republicans. So, the Republican Party doesn't change very much. It doesn't want to change.
No.
It doesn't want to update anything. It just wants to deny everything that comes along, and it's not going to work for a modern era.
No, especially not with this new generation.
No, not at all.
And that's what
Not
I'm
at
saying.
all. I used to think it was done.
Imagine this. Imagine if you just took the fucking parties, right, and just wiped them off the table. Just wiped them off. Just completely just wiped them off.
If you said there wasn't a
There
Republican,
was a Republican, wasn't a fucking
where
Democratic
would people
Party.
lay?
Oh, God.
No, you actually have to vote for someone that fucking nailed it.
Because 99% of the people vote for Democrat, Republican.
Every time.
Right down the line.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
No questions asked. I don't know who he is, blah, 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 blah. Like, that is bad.
And they're slow. They're so polarized. I mean, and it's like you can't. I agree with all the ideals of these individuals, especially if they're extremely liberal or extremely right. I mean, any whichever way you have it. I mean,
Well, and that's the problem. It's the extremes.
yeah, there's
Right?
no good.
So I'm a
in either
Democrat,
end.
so I got to really reach
Yeah.
far this way. And I'm a Republican, I got to reach
Yeah.
really far. No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, it's not like how it used to be. Like back in the '60s, I could see both sides. But nowadays,
it's just so far.
extreme.
There's no middle
Yeah.
ground.
No, and to try to get somebody, which is like,
You guys got me thinking about gender now, because it's the same problem.
Well, let me
Oh,
time out.
started.
Here's my thing. Let time out. Look, me.
Here it goes. Here it goes.
My Second
Are
Amendment.
your viewers ready for this?
I don't
No,
give a fuck if
no.
they're right or
This
not.
is where I stand. Look,
I feel like if they listen to us every fucking week, they're probably thinking the same
Here's
shit
the
we're
deal.
talking about.
Man to man, want to get married? Fuck it. I really don't give two fucks.
No, that's it.
Woman and a woman, I don't give two fucks.
Go ahead.
But don't teach my children.
Well,
Don't try to
force it. Don't force
exactly,
it. You are what you fucking are.
Yeah.
You are what you are.
And let's look at the fucking science here. Biologically, you're a male or a fucking female, and
You're not a chicken.
You know what?
No,
I don't even get wrapped up in that shit, man. Because, like I said, I got a gay
and that's the
cousin,
thing.
so
See,
it is what it is.
Academia.
I don't. Look,
Academia tries to push this
Don't
shit
push
and
it.
these policies on your children.
Don't
Exactly.
push it.
And that's where I have the problem is that don't force feed our kids this shit because it's so common in academia to be such far right liberal.
I'm not
I mean,
forcing-
academia is predominantly
Academia
liberal.
started most of the
I'm not
brainwashing that we see today in the first place.
I'm not forcing a gun in anyone's hands.
No,
I'm
of
not
course not.
forcing anything
Right.
in anyone's. Like, just don't force.
Yeah.
Well,
If you're gonna be about it, be about it. I don't. Whatever.
Right, you do what you want to do, but don't try to manipulate the minds of our children because that's your agenda.
Exactly.
Let's look at how they do push their agenda. They push their agenda based on the victim status. So basically, if somebody is victimized, we need to speak for the victim.
Yeah.
That's the job of the Democratic Party. To
That's
speak
all
for the
virtue
disenfranchised, right? That's the job of anybody who wants better for people who don't have it as good as them.
Right.
They wanna fight for other people. You know, so let's look at how the way that they actually go about deciding who we should listen to and who we shouldn't listen to. You know, in the current sphere, we shouldn't listen to white men. You know, basically everybody else is better than white men.
Yeah.
All right, now who's the most victimized person? A black guy or a white guy? Open forum. Black guy or white guy?
Well, it depends on how you want to look at it.
It depends on the
Yeah.
scenario. It depends on the scenario.
Black guy.
Yeah,
Obviously,
absolutely.
black people are more
Yeah.
victimized than white people. All right, now who's more victimized? Black woman or a black man?
Black man.
Black
probably.
woman.
Probably
Black woman. Because
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to understand.
Black woman?
Black
Really?
women.
Yeah.
Black
I don't know.
women. Because
Black
they're
women,
not
because
men.
they're
It's
they're
a patriarchy.
they're a double
and they're not
minority.
part of the
They're a
right.
double minority.
All right.
Yeah,
Now, okay. Now, a gay black woman or a straight black woman?
gay black
A
woman.
trans black woman or
That
a
training.
gay. All right. Look, this is the problem
my God.
with
Mine's in a
identity
blender.
politics is because it never stops. It will continue to fractionate to infinity.
Yeah.
We're going about this the wrong way, and I like to speak about this all the time. I have plenty of gay friends. I have no problem with my gay friends. Some of my gay friends are the best friends I have, the
love
realest
sex
people
to
that I have. But I
take him, man.
I think we're going about this the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't
think?
agree with a lot of different things that I see going on nowadays, but it is your freedom to
Right.
just do it.
That's
you
what
know?
makes this
That
country
gives you
fucking
your-
great.
you're-
We have
you're American.
plants that are hermaphrodites. You know, it's like they're not wrong for being both things,
You
right?
do your thing.
So here's
Do
the,
your thing.
Here's
Yeah,
the issue.
I got no problem with it.
He does it every Friday.
The issue.
He does his thing every Friday.
You know, the issue that we have with this is that we're just getting away from reality and we're fractionating into tribal groups and we're going backwards.
All right.
You know, here's how you need to look at it in modern times, and some people won't like this, some people will love it, but
We don't
you
give
gotta
a fuck on
face
this
it.
pod,
You gotta
bro.
face reality.
We don't give a fuck on this pod, dude.
Here's the reality: there are two genders, with the exception of the 1 to 2% with Klinefelters that are born with both. All right, you have X chromosomes and XY chromosomes. You're genetically male or female.
Yes.
Now, traditionally, that has meant something set in stone. Men are this, women are that. Fact of the matter is, whether we like it or not, that's not the way it works anymore.
No.
You know,
It's whatever you
You know,
identify as.
This
ridiculous.
But let's take it at face value. You're a man, you express yourself this way. You're a woman, you express yourself that way. Your chromosomes tell you a specific thing. It tells you about your genetics. It doesn't tell you about your identity and how you express yourself.
Right.
Be whoever you want, but don't start
Sure.
making up other extra names and don't start going against the fact. You're still a man. You're still a woman. You know, I've never spoken to a single trans person who denies the fact that they're male.
Really?
Never. You
Because they're transgender, so they identify more as they believe
One or
that
the
their
other?
gender is one or the other. But their sexuality tends to, it can be confusing because they're not actually transsexual, they're transgender.
That's really what we have to get to, is gender expression versus gender.
Yeah.
You can express yourself however you want. You're still a man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you dress like a
Biologically,
woman,
you're
if
still a
you
man.
change your parts, you get surgeries or whatever, it's like,
Right.
okay, but you're still a man.
You're still a man.
You know, we're just going the wrong way. It's like, I find if you're a Z, a Zer, a Zer, all these 71 pronouns that are
Yeah,
already
there's no
recognized
new
online,
human
you know.
race.
No,
No.
you're a man or a woman,
Exactly.
you present yourself the way that you do. You express yourself the way that you do, and I'm going to judge you based on you as an individual, not you as a member of a group.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we're going the most complicated way possible, and it's being used as ammunition on the grounds of gender identity. You know, all of these things are. It's just this disgusting tribal thing that's going on right now, and we're going the complete opposite
We're fucked.
direction.
We are fucked.
We're
Yeah.
fucked.
I think we're fucked.
We're letting this new generation just dictate the entire fucking
Yeah.
world.
That's the thing. They're offended, so we're all going to just cater to their needs.
Bow down.
Yeah, which is the
Okay,
problem.
okay.
That's where the problem.
And
lies.
why does it actually even matter? Because we're consumers.
Yeah.
Because are we bowing down to this? No, the companies are.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
companies are,
And
because
that's-
they want to be safe. Dr. Seuss
Yep.
doesn't want you to stop buying from them. Mr.
Yeah.
Potato Head has to be Potato Head now
Yeah.
because they
Pepe
don't
Le
want to be
Pew.
attacked next.
Pepe Le Pew.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay, Pepe Le Pew was kind of a...
No, I
He was-
understand.
He was a fucking.
He was a little too far.
I can understand
I
it.
believe it.
Listen,
Yeah, yeah.
I can understand it, but it's a fucking cartoon.
Like, get fucked. Come on.
Come on.
Why don't we just
Yeah,
go
he was
back
a
in time
creep.
and,
I agree.
and cancel Nazis? I'm pretty
If
sure
I
we
see
all
that
know
guy in the
that's
bar,
bad.
I'd
We
be like,
don't need
"Hey,
to
dude,
publicly
lay the
cancel
fuck
it.
up, bro." You know what I mean?
Like,
but at the same time, it's a fucking cartoon, people. You don't have to get offended by everything in the fucking world. Like,
fucking
take
Popeye.
it for face value.
But the fact of the
Popeye
matter
took a
is,
thing of spinach and his arms got bigger. Do we really believe that happened?
No,
Come
it
on.
doesn't.
that's offensive to people with tumors in their biceps. You know,
Yeah,
like
I'm
what are we
offended. It's
talking
like-
about anymore?
If it offends you, guess what? Don't fucking watch. That's all there is to it. I mean, it's really that simple. And it's like a comedian. If you don't like what they have to say, don't turn it on. But somebody does like it, and even if they don't, it's not. If that's not what you're into, cool. If not, I'm not into that, cool. But that's the problem is that now they want everybody to. They're trying to appease all these people who are so easily offended. When the fact comes. The fact of the matter is this: is as adults, we all have our rights to be enjoy whatever we enjoy and do whatever we like, and the government shouldn't have any kind of say in what
Right.
we choose to consume as consumers or what we choose to spend our time doing.
I keep saying it. Life is too easy for Americans.
Yeah.
So we have
just-
to create struggle.
yeah.
There needs to be struggle, so we have to create it.
We just make these
Somewhere.
problems.
Go
we
to
make
your-
problems.
go to
'Cause
your
our life
forefathers.
is so simple and easy here in the U.S. It's so good and so
Yeah,
sweet.
I think it was Dostoevsky. He said if men were given, or not men, but humans. If humans were given,
Easy, Hal. Easy.
yeah, right. If humans were given no responsibilities other than to stuff their faces and busy themselves with the reproduction of the species, the first thing that we would do is smash it all to pieces.
Exactly.
You know, we,
What were you gonna-
we
It
need
just-
something.
It just shows the mindset of this country is just—it's way off track.
Yeah.
I mean, if you sat
It's fucking
at a
bonkers.
table with our this country's forefathers and put a Mr. Potato Head toy and a picture of Pepe Le Pew in front of them and said, "Our country is fighting over this right now. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?" They wouldn't know what to do with themselves.
They'd probably they'd think you were insane.
They
They'd
would
think you were
like. We're just so off track.
Who gives a fuck?
I'll go back to the inner city thing because I'm an advocate for that because I go to sporting events. I've never lived in the inner city. There are starving children, dude, and you're fighting over a fucking Mr. Potato Head. Like,
This is only
Get a
happening.
grip.
This is only happening because a bunch of rich, white, guilty-feeling liberals won't shut up.
get
Yeah.
a grip.
Yeah.
This isn't the reality.
Get a grip.
I mean, look at the voting records from the past 50 years. The split between Democratic and Republican is still 50-50.
Yeah.
It hasn't really changed. The only thing that's changed is that this tiny, tiny subset of Americans is extremely loud. They're inflammatory, which means the media makes money off of projecting the stress and the trauma. And, you know,
And the
on
reason
them.
it's
It's,
it
not,
makes
a rea-
it-
it's
it-
not a reality.
It's
we
not-
have
it's
to
not
speak
reality.
up.
The reason
It
it's
makes
have to
it
speak
makes
up.
it look like that's the way that everyday life is.
It's not.
But it's not.
Yeah,
It's
they
I
not
haven't met.
real.
I haven't met any of these people.
No.
Yeah.
Not one.
But they're
Yeah,
just
but it tracks because everybody wants in this realm of social media. Everybody wants to be a part of the group, a part of what's moving forward, and it everybody agrees with it because it sells itself as something that is egalitarian. It sells itself as
Yeah.
something that's, hey, we're fighting for the rights of all people. How could you be against
you
that?
know-
If you're not, you're a bigoted racist.
Here's the
Yep.
deal. Bad people exist. They ain't going
Ain't
nowhere.
going nowhere.
Ain't going
They ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. No.
So when you start tying political
Oh, fuck.
parties to bad people, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because there's bad Democrats and there's bad fucking Republicans.
Not
I don't
today.
know what's going on in Maryland, but in Delaware they made new legislature that you have to you can't use plastic bags anymore.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah.
to no more plastic bags.
Yep.
Now, let me just.
It's fucked, dude. I bought groceries at 10 cents a fucking bag at ShopRite, though.
Right.
was
The reason
fucked.
I bring this up in the first place is because as to what you're saying is the point is you can't regulate social change.
Yeah.
It comes from within. And the bags give you a perfect example. So, you can't have plastic bags anymore. What do they do?
They make thicker bags.
They make
and
thicker
charge you
bags,
for 'em.
and they tell you that they're recyclable so that
Yeah.
you reuse them.
Yep.
But
I'm not
what
fucking
happens when you
reusing
go to
them.
the store? They're still there.
Yeah.
You still take one every time. You don't come to the store with more bags
Nobody's
because you
reusing
can't
them.
regulate change. People just do whatever the fuck they want on their own.
Yeah.
It doesn't come through regulation. It has to come through social awareness. And that's not going to happen unless we speak up.
Yeah.
And we need to.
Yeah.
You may as well give me one, too.
This is
We're going down. It's going to be a
This
3-hour
is our
fight.
fucking rabbit hole.
But it's just... And that's...
It's a very complicated subject.
And the social media
But
has...
it's something
the social
that needs to be.
media...
It's something that needs to be addressed. And I know I don't like talking politics. And I don't like.
I don't
getting into
either.
it, but you
I
know
love
what?
it. I love
Love it so much.
I believe what I believe.
It's something that
not-
needs to be addressed. And like
We
Hal
have
was
to
saying,
talk.
Yeah.
if we're gonna all be quiet all the time about it, then we have no voice. And the vast majority, I believe, we're the silent majority of people. This is
Agreed.
how we feel. But the problem is that we're just so don't want to rock the boat. So like whatever, man, you do your thing. I'm gonna do my thing.
Don't want to be labeled
Yeah.
a racist.
Right, don't want to be labeled a racist because of the way we feel. But it's got nothing to do with any of that shit,
Doesn't.
man. It's got to do with
Doesn't.
freedom, and this is the fucking God-blessed United States of America, and these values that the politicians and these fuckers that are sitting in office for 40 years are so far removed from what the average American and what's
Nancy
going on
Pelosi
with our
her
daily life.
$23,000
You know
freezer
what?
Eating,
Yeah, like,
eating
come
ice
on.
cream.
This is what we're going to do.
These people are so far removed from real life. They have no idea what the hell's going on.
We're going to strap down everyone in America and make them watch Saving Private Ryan.
There you go.
That's what we're going to do. We're going to strap every American to a chair
How do you
and make them watch Saving Private
How
Ryan.
do you stop it? I mean, how do you make a halt to this nonsense? How do you do
You
it?
dick, it's done.
You have
It's-
to. There's one
it's
way
done.
and one way only: self-sufficiency and removing yourself from a consumerist society.
So there's no way to do it then.
Well,
So-
no, I completely disagree. I mean, we haven't gotten into this at all. I
Man,
mean,
I'm voting
part
for
of
you.
Yeah, I'm voting for him too.
Thank you.
Run for president.
Like, I people talk to me. We haven't really gotten into what it is that I do with my day to day and what it is, how that it is that I've made my life. I'm a high school dropout. I make more than pretty much anybody that I know.
Hey, my dad was a high school dropout.
Retired from DuPont.
There you go.
People, I talk to people who see what I do on social media and who see me rant about politics all the time, and I'm constantly giving advice to people about how to survive in this coming inflationary economy and whatnot. And they see what I do and they say, what you're doing is so different, is so creative, and I just can't help but think it's like you couldn't be further from the truth. I'm an originalist. The things that I do are the most basic things for human survival. So I run a business. It's called First State Forager.
Okay.
Now I got into this.
Plug it up, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, allow me to
Plug
to
it
put
up,
the plug
though.
in right now,
Yeah,
guys.
you got links and shit? Spit that shit out.
Instagram First State Forager. Check it out. You
Follow
gotta
it.
check it out. All right.
Right
What
now.
was it?
First State Forager.
First
Okay.
State Forager.
So I grew up lower class, hungry, literally hungry. Food bags being delivered by welfare programs to my house that we can actually have something for breakfast. I grew up in a really hard situation. But another thing that I grew up with was stories of my ancestors being Native Americans, which, by the way, I don't know if that was true. All right, DNA tests.
told you that Native American is.
Yeah, it's one of the most widely overstated statistics. Yeah. But nonetheless, I grew up with the stories, and I would think to myself, I'm sitting here in this situation where my mother and father have to go through this and that to survive and go to these jobs to survive, and even still, they're going out for work, they're working full time, they're still trying to juggle raising 3 kids, and we're still hungry. But, I apparently came from ancestors who didn't have jobs that were, thriving. The Native American people are viewed as some of the most peaceful people on the planet who just had this balance with their ecosystem.
They weren't taxed either.
They definitely weren't taxed. Right? And but this just inspired me to look around and say, I live where my supposed tribe came from. and they used to survive and thrive on this land. And that's the first thing that made me look around and say, there's edible food here, there's edible animals here, and maybe if I'm having such a hard time in this modern society, I should pay a little bit more attention to actually where I came from. You know, my father used to say all the time, if you want to succeed, you have to build a ladder from where you are to where you want to be. But when you build that ladder, you know, you lay it down, you put those sidebars on, and then you start to put those pegs in between so you can climb up. But if you skip steps, when you stand that ladder up, you can't reach the next one. So you got to start one step at a time, you know, and build up one step at a time. So being this person from the lowest of low class, you know, the bottom of the welfare bucket, you know, it's like, okay, if I ever want to come out of this, I have to learn what the first peg is, you know, and then I'll work from there. What's the first peg? As, you know, not in society, but just as being a human. It's like, you need to be able to drop me in the woods, and I need to be able to survive.
Take care of mine.
Yeah.
How much of this country would perish if you just took grocery stores?
75%.
More.
Yeah.
97.
Yeah.
97. Everybody but the Amish.
Well, yeah.
Maybe the Scientologists.
I want to say
but-
there's, you know, how many hunters are there?
We got a lot of hunters that would do.
Yeah.
But hunting ain't,
But how
it ain't
many-
the whole
Yeah,
picture.
exactly.
How many
Hunting ain't
hunters
the whole
are
picture.
there,
Ain't
really?
the whole
Is it,
picture.
was it 1 in 10? Is it 1 in
I think
20?
it's
How many hunters
Survival's
really
a
are
whole.
there? I think it's 1 in 10.
Yeah.
Survival's a whole
Okay.
different ball of
10%.
wax.
But
I think it's
these,
less than
a
one.
lot of these hunters are just weekend warriors. They just go out and shoot a deer. They don't
shoot
have
a deer with a rifle
Right.
and stuff like that. But you take the ability to do all that away and actually have to do it. You know,
We
Everything.
we need to learn
As your means
and
of
we need
life.
to teach our children where we came from. The Japanese have a saying that the way to move forward best to the future is to keep one eye on the past and one eye on the future. You know, it's the same.
gotta learn
It's the
from your
same
past.
fundamental as the Republican and Democratic Party. The thing that you are and the thing that makes you who you are. Take what works. Takes what's been established through millions of years of evolution, and then adapt it as need be. But you can't adapt it as need be if you don't understand the first step.
Yeah.
That comes from sustainability. You know, so for me personally, that meant go out and so to describe what First State Forager is, I go out in the woods, I find gourmet edible plants that you can't find at the grocery store,
I'm all about that, baby.
and I sell them to restaurants.
Yeah, I just rivaled your Instagram real quick.
Yeah,
and
I found
Yeah.
what
it was.
I spend all my time out in the woods whenever the season allows it, picking flowers, picking fruit. You know, this area that we live in, we have access to the largest native fruit in America, the pawpaw. Nobody even knows about it. You
I
know what
have
it
no
tastes
idea.
like? A fucking mango.
So,
Yeah.
people don't do these things because they don't have to.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right.
They're not going to go back to you. Your brain is a little more sophisticated.
But you know
picked
what?
up on
These
that.
people that don't have to, it's just going back to the thing that I said about happiness is it not being goals. You're not happy.
Right.
Yeah.
You're striving for something, and you think happiness is going out and spending your money at the bar and trying to...
well, easy with
put
that.
something wrong.
Take it easy on the bar
No,
shit, though.
all right, no, don't get me wrong. You know, it's like, you know, I'm a person that works all the time.
You just
and I
showed me a pretty
understand.
sick fucking can book, dude. You've been to a couple bars, bro.
You know, I work. I couldn't even tell you how many hours a week I work. You know, I wake up. I have a laboratory where I actually do produce a lot of the mushrooms and a lot of the vegetation that I can sell.
Talking
All right.
In a lab with mushrooms
Everybody
in it.
goes there. Right? You know.
Oh, not those kind of.
Yeah, not those kind.
I took
Portobellos,
I'd
right?
say one day maybe if it goes.
Bring me
legal.
bring me a bag of your finest portobellos.
You know, I took a lesson out of Elon Musk's playbook, and I moved my bed into my laboratory. So I wake up, and the first thing I see is my work, and the last thing I
wow.
see is my work, and I will spend
Yeah.
my whole day working. You know, and I'll go to the extreme, but you know, you got to take care of yourself as well. So cheers to that,
Hey,
fellas,
that's
right.
because you
Cheers to
got to
that,
take a
brother.
break. But there's a lot of people out here that ain't worrying about their job. They ain't worrying about nothing other than going out and going on a vacation, and posting
Yeah.
pictures on Instagram, and they're chasing an image of happiness while they don't actually have happiness. The moment that that's taken away from them, they have nothing.
Yeah.
There's no actual substance. All they are is their job.
Yeah.
They go to work, they make this money, and then they spend however much they have to deal with the fact that they hate their fucking life.
Ugh.
They're not happy. They're
Yeah.
not happy. They're seeking the image, but they're not. All right, well, you
The
know,
average man lives a life of silent disparity, or what? Are you familiar with that? The average
I
man
never
lives a
think-
life of silent.
I know what you're saying. I don't know.
I
what
have
fucked
heard
that
it, but
quote up,
yeah,
there's a
I
quote of basically the
Google.
average man just goes through life just wishing he would have done something more with his life, and he just goes in and he punches that 9 to 5, and he chips away at the old block, but the whole time he's just miserable, and that's really common, man. That's what 99%
But the-
of people are doing. But there's more to life than just punching a clock. You worked I work to live. I don't live to work. You know what I mean?
I love
Well,
that,
that's what you just said is money. I mean,
fiat currency.
it's a roof over your fucking head. It pays for my hobbies.
Right.
Am I happy doing it? No, I'm not happy. But I got a roof over my head. It pays for my fucking hobbies. It takes care of me. It takes care of my fucking dog.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
It is what it is. I mean, but if you're in this fucking fairyland where you want to just do the bare minimum to fucking pay for your fucking happiness, it's not gonna fucking. If you want shit in life, you gotta fucking work for it.
That's right. And
you know,
you got to cultivate.
You don't order $1,200 bows fucking doing bare minimums now.
No, you got to fucking work hard.
You gotta work.
But dude, that's another thing that happiness is. It's a very relative thing, and you just working hard can bring you happiness if you enjoy working. Like if that's what you're doing, that can bring you happiness. Like just busting my ass, man, after a long day. If I'm really fucking getting after it, and I'm doing something that I at least mildly enjoy, just the sweat of my brow. And like you come home at the end of the day and you crack cold beer and you feel like you've accomplished something.
That's a key point. Is the feeling of accomplishing something. You know, there's a couple different ways I could approach this, but I think the only way for me to really understandably start is to start at the beginning, and by saying something very extreme.
Here we go.
Easy.
We want to be able to put this on the fucking air.
All right, life guarantees you misery. It never guarantees you happiness.
That's very,
Life
very
guarantees
true.
you suffering. There are always going to be obstacles that are facing you that you have to overcome, or that are going to overcome you, and you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You know, life guarantees you no happiness, but it does guarantee you misery and suffering.
Misery
If you
is
don't-
definitely guaranteed.
Right. And if you don't believe me, allow me to again draw it to the extreme and make my point. You die at the end. Okay?
No one makes it out alive.
Yeah, no one makes it out alive. You die at the end.
You got to learn to love that misery, man.
What you have to learn to do is make the most out of the time that you have. You know, now if you spend every second of your life emboldening your ability to confront the suffering that you know is guaranteed to you. You do everything that you can. You know, when you're going to your job to pay your bills, that's what you're doing. You know, when you open a book to study, to learn something, that's what you're doing. You're taking every opportunity that you can to prepare yourself for the unseen, so that when it does come, because it's guaranteed that it's going to come, you'll be ready for it. Now, if you continue that process and you continue to educate yourself and to take in more information, you embolden your ability to confront that suffering as it comes. And by default, by doing that, what you do is open as many doors to have some happiness.
Yeah.
Because if you're prepared for that bill when it comes, you can just pay it and say, you know what, well, actually, I got something to do this weekend.
Yep.
I can actually have some fun this weekend. You have to consciously accept the fact, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
You know, suffering is coming. I'm not going to avoid that. I'm not going to go out
Memento
for some
mori.
likes on Instagram or Facebook and views, and I went viral today, and I got these sick-ass fucking shoes that everybody's like, oh, I wish I had those. It's bullshit.
It's
you need
fake.
to pay attention
It is
on
fake.
work. You need to pay attention on improving yourself. These are values that are lost and are so craved
I
in
got more on
society
this.
right now. You know?
I got more on this.
Go
'cause
for it.
I'm in a production environment. So, as time goes on, I've been with this company a long time. I got to see kind of the old school farm boys fucking working their asses off to support their fucking families.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're hiring the 20-year-old kid, and production numbers are going like this.
Of course.
They don't care
Yeah.
Of course not.
because they're buying the shoes. They're buying fucking $70,000 Challengers and Chargers. It's completely. It's not. I'm 20 years old. I got 4 kids at home. I'm going to fucking work to fucking get as much money as I can to fucking keep my fucking family
They're
fed.
paid in likes on Facebook and
Yep.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yep.
And who is giving them those likes? The majority. And who is the majority? A bunch of fucking idiots.
My number one saying at work, I wave the young kids over, and they're not running over. Let me tell you something. And they always laugh when I come. Come here. Let me tell you something. That's what I always do. Come here. Let me tell you something. I'm young. I'm a young guy. I'm 30 years old.
30 years old.
But I've been with the same company for fucking
Yeah.
10 years. I've seen the old school versus the new school. When they're not hitting their number. Come here. Let me tell you something. What the fuck are you doing? And they want to buy that fucking bag of weed.
Yeah.
They want to fucking buy the new shoes. They want to fucking buy the new car. And you got to and I look at it and I'm like, man, here I am, one guy telling this kid fucking how to fucking perform his job to make more money. And he hasn't experienced that in his whole life. Your dad should have told you that.
Yeah.
Your mom should have told you that.
Oh, yeah.
And here I am, telling you how to benefit and make yourself better in life.
Right.
You know how many men out there right now are so desperate for responsibility.
They're desperate for masculinity in their lives.
And
a lot of men and young boys that don't have that because
It's
well,
demonized
I see it magnified because my employees are incentive paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, young buck, what the fuck you doing?
Yeah.
He's content making $20 an hour. It's the most money he's ever made in his life.
Right.
It's like, dude, you got $30 an hour staring at you right there.
Yeah,
you don't want that fucking 30? You don't want that? No. Because it requires more fucking work. Of
course. Right.
And that $20 an hour is supporting their fucking likes on fucking Instagram. So, look, kid.
Their new sneakers and their
Let me tell you,
car payment.
you're 20 years old right now. When you're 25, when you're 30, and you got 2 kids and a fucking house at home, that fucking $30 an hour is gonna look real fucking good. So you better get on the fucking train or get the fuck off.
Get to work. And I could see it all the time in kids. And like I've got kids that I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I'm familiar with
no name.
Some youth that are just like they have no drive. There's no desire to do anything with their lives because there's like nothing that they want to achieve. And
why should they want to be part of the system that we have? What's satisfying about the system that we have?
You want to hear something?
Not a damn thing.
It's crazy, but we need to teach our children how rewarding it is to sacrifice and to struggle and to confront suffering forthrightly.
You want to hear something? And I don't push the college shit on these kids that work for me. There's a 20. No, listen to me. Listen.
College is.
Well, I had to.
There's some
go
good
to college if you want a job that requires.
I had to,
exactly.
And it was paid. They helped me pay for it, all that. But there's kids that come up to me. I'm not going to name no names because he might watch this podcast one day. Who knows?
Yeah.
But he came up to me and he was like, "Jeremy," and I built a good relationship with these guys, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up to me. He was like, "Man, I'm going to school for my fucking CDL." And I fucking fist bump him. I said, "Man, fucking you keep rocking that fucking CDL.
yeah.
You fucking get that goddamn license and get the fuck out of here if you can. Because it's not fun work what I do."
Yeah.
You know what? Fucking, and man, every week comes to me, "Man, fucking pass my fucking shit." I fucking like, you keep fucking hammering that.
Good,
It's good on you. Fucking you fucking better yourself no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's just
you do what you got to do,
and I'm dealing with this new generation, man. It's rotten.
Yeah.
It's fucking, and I'm trying
you got a first-hand experience in it because of your position.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of young kids in there that are working for you. And that's the thing. As far as college goes, man, like I can speak for me and John.
Can wipe your ass.
Like, yeah, dude.
It's a requirement.
I got waved up when I was 17 years old, and I went and I did a year and a half in fucking inside.
If I'm being honest, I'm amazed you've made it to where you made it.
So that's a whole
absolutely. That's
subject.
next. We're gonna have Hal on again. We'll do another.
We'll delve into that on.
But
I'm man about the gay thing. He's already sucking your dick.
I'm amazed that you are where you are.
We'll delve into that on.
What my point is that I was 17. When I got out, I was 19 years old. I had no driver's license. I had no high school diploma. I had a violent criminal record. All this stuff stacked against me, which is, it's not that uncommon. But and if you, I could have went to school. I could have done that, but I chose to go take a shit job that sucked. It paid dick money. I wouldn't make no money, and I was busting my ass. But what I was doing when I took this job is I was getting job skills. I was learning things about that I could apply to other jobs later on down the road. So I worked that for years, and I wasn't making good money, but I was still making money, and I wasn't taking out $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 worth of debt to a college. And I built that for a couple years, and I kept working. I kept doing that, and then before you know it, now here I am 10 years later, and even 5 years ago, I was still making
4 or
decent
5
money.
jobs later.
Yeah,
but these jobs you've learned.
I learned something, and I took something from them
to be where you are now.
And instead of getting a degree, I was getting paid to learn these things.
Exactly.
And I slowly built myself up to where I am now. And now I make decent money. I make more money than a lot of the people that I know that went to college. And there's nothing wrong with not going to school. If you want to go to school, good on you. That's fine. But my advice would be to anybody that wants to go to school is to cash flow it if you can. Try and work your way through it. Don't take out those crazy loans, man, because they will kill you. They're hard. And if you're going to do it in a field that is relative. Don't go fucking take a degree in arts or some shit like that. Fucking be smart about it. And I know it's hard to be smart when you're 19 years old. It is.
Dance theory.
Yeah.
You're gonna make $1 million in that.
But there's nothing wrong with working with your hands, and because believe me, there's plenty of guys. I got guys that I work with that work with their hands and are making over 6 figures.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, and you can make good money doing it, and you can enjoy what you do. Because I go every day. I not every day. Some days I don't do shit, but some days, I get these jobs that I have to solve these issues, and it is rewarding. I like to do what I do. I like to work with my hands, and you can dedicate yourself to something as a kid that you think you would really enjoy, and then 4 years of school goes down, and you see this all the time, and then you don't even want to do it. 4 years later, you don't even want to fucking do this. It's a fucking shame. And
it's like Mike Rowe says,
Mike Rowe.
Don't follow your passion, but always keep it with you.
Yeah.
It's like you don't necessarily go after the thing that you love. Don't forget it. Keep it with you and utilize it in your life to make sure you don't kill yourself. But do what makes you money. Yeah. Do what keeps you alive, that gives you the time to actually follow your passion and become something.
It's good to follow your passion, but at the same time, you got to make money. So you got to keep that in mind.
And if I'm being honest, the industry I'm in, where it was required for the position I'm in now to have a college degree, I use more from what I learned as an operator and supervisor level. Mm-hmm. Than what I learned in college.
Yeah, I mean, none of us had a college degree going into our, careers we have right now.
No.
I guess what you'll see, what you're seeing a lot now is like when you apply for a job, you'll see, and these bigger companies are starting to figure it out. You'll start to see a bachelor's degree, or you'll see the big OR.
Yep.
5 years experience in that industry, or 10 years experience in this industry. So the bigger corporations are starting to figure it out.
Yeah,
you're starting to see less of you got to have a bachelor's in this for us to hire you. You're starting to see less of that. That's one thing I will say that you start to see less of that.
It's different in my industry. So I work in defense systems, aerospace,
governments. I mean, they're going to be stingy. They're going to be stingy.
So my boss is he was just like me. He had no degree, none of that, and he's I guess what his position would be considered. He's a manager, and without getting too into it, but so now if you want his position, if you want his position, they want you to have a degree. But years ago, he got that position with X amount of years of experience. So it depends on the industry and what you're in, I think. But at the same time, even so, they make exceptions, especially when you're exceptional at your job. If you're really good at your job, and you might not have a degree, but you've got a couple years experience in there, you've been there for 5, 6 years, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever, and you're exceptional, and they could see the benefit of having you in that management position, they're going to overlook that degree. A lot of the time, they do.
When I was promoted,
and you just worked there and got paid to work there, as opposed to going to school and paying for it, and you got the same position. My boss has no degree and makes more than most of the engineers there.
When I was promoted, I didn't have a college degree. My plant manager at the time said, "You know what? This kid's got something. He's smart. Knows how to fucking he's got something. This kid has something." And he said, "What do you think about supervisor job?"
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I ain't got I don't have your fucking I knew the requirements. I was like, dude, I can't fucking do this shit. I don't have your fucking I don't have the fucking college degree. I don't have any of that shit. And he was like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a fucking supervisor job. We're gonna help you pay for your fucking school because I had to have it.
Yeah.
By corporate standard.
Right.
And he said, fucking step up. Fucking
That's the thing.
Get on it.
The whole thing is, you know what? Fucking hard work always pays off. It doesn't matter.
But if you want something, just work for it.
But
that's it.
He did
Don't give up.
And stop fucking expecting everything to be a handout.
That's the problem with today's day and age.
handouts.
They want it handed to them.
Just want everything just given to you.
You don't when you don't look for these things. People, let me tell you, you go to work every day and you grind every day. I'm not going to say it's going to happen overnight. It took me 5 or 6 years for someone to notice it. Mm-hmm. I went to work every day, bust my ass for 5 fucking years for someone to notice.
Some people go longer.
Yeah, for someone to notice, hey, now that kid's got potential. So you just gotta work. You gotta work.
Dude, I literally started started out digging ditches. Literally.
By hand.
Digging ditches. And I've worked up, and I have a palatial estate. You know, I mean, you just got to work.
And that's one thing I can say about this country. If you work hard in this country, even with this fucking crazy shit going on, in the end, you will be rewarded. It may not be rewarded with the current company you're working for fucking busting your fucking ass.
Yeah, you're going to have to move.
But if you work hard in life, you will be rewarded.
The Brookings Institute, which is a very left-leaning institution, they have a study that they put out which basically tells you that if you graduate high school, didn't do that, all right,
Hey.
don't have children out of wedlock, also didn't do that, all right,
Okay.
keep a steady job, there's a 97% chance that you will be in the middle class by the end of your life.
But you got to
coming
get
from the very bottom, you know, you have to work, and it really does come back to that happiness thing. So you have to realize that you're not here to be happy. You're here to work. You're here to improve something about your life, and by doing that, you improve the whole.
all of our
Happiness
mindsets.
is a product of what you're
It's a byproduct.
All-
Happiness is not a goal for anyone.
There's a big key
Shouldn't be.
piece. There's a big key piece missing in society these days. No one at this table was given. We all know what struggle is.
That's right.
When you experience that, you grow from it.
Yes.
When that doesn't happen across the broad spectrum of people, it's not good.
No.
We've all been rock bottom. I've been that kid with the one bedroom apartment barely scrounging to pay rent. Like we've all been like, you guys maybe on a worse scale, but like I've been that kid. Fucking, I packed my shit up. He drove back with me. I left my parents at 18 years old. My pickup truck, loaded it down with everything I had, which wasn't much.
Yeah.
Moved the fuck back to Maryland, and fucking packed my shit up. And like, okay, kid, you're 18 years old on your own. Like, what the fuck
Figure
you
it
gonna
out.
do? Figure the fuck out, kid. Like, if you want to live away from your parents, you got to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. And that's imperative that everybody has to understand struggle, because if you don't go through any kind of struggle and everything in your life is ever just handed to you, you'll never really appreciate anything.
But
first
Seth,
of all, but
Seth.
also it doesn't build character unless you go through these things.
A lot of kids, they're not experiencing that.
I know.
See, that's why
Your kids
I
won't.
try to always.
Oh, I make
keep
them.
a-
I make them struggle personally.
I agree with that. I do it all the time.
Get your
yeah.
ass outside,
like-
boy. We're working today.
Yeah, my children are definitely not
But, you
coming
know,
up in the economic.
One thing I
group
say
that
about
I did,
one
but
thing I can
no.
say about my mom and dad, I always had a roof over my head, this and that.
Yeah.
It didn't hit home for me until I never got money wired from my dad. My dad never sent me. I never got anything. My dad said, "You want to pack that fucking truck up, kiddo? You're on your own."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I packed that fucking
And that
truck
was the
up.
best thing he could have done for you.
Best thing in life.
Yeah.
See,
But-
this is when I get back into the political sphere as well, you know, because, the biggest thing that I have to do as a constitutional conservative libertarian, as a person who is not in this to be a career politician, but in this to be a person that wants to affect his community in a positive manner.
But that's what it should be. It's what it should always be.
I-
What did
I
you just
agree.
say?
I agree.
What you just said, affect communities in a
positive
positive
manner.
manner. That's
Yeah.
all it should be.
Yeah, but politicians don't want that.
That's
no,
not.
they don't. They want people to vote for them, and they want
That's
to
it.
stay in office.
They
They
want
want
money.
to keep their paycheck, and they want to keep the.
But that's the
they want to
problem.
keep the companies paying them to reflect the interests of the companies.
Give me
but,
one, two iron there.
I have a unique perspective. Being a person from the bottom who is now a free market capitalist, being a person of very mixed racial origins, and then looking at the community and seeing what's going on right now. So I think about things like what you were saying right now about people who come from the bottom and will have to either put themselves in or were forced into a position where they had to come out. And I think about things like what's going on with the black community right now. Like I think we're doing a disservice to our community to ignore the reality of the fact that we are only a couple hundred years outside of slavery, and there are lingering
That's
side
it.
effects from Jim Crow and all the above. But you have to then ask yourself, how do we actually fix that problem? And I'm completely against government fixing that problem. And
No.
like I look
Community
at the black
will
community.
fix that problem.
I look at the black community and I see some of the smartest, some of the strongest, some of the most capable people that have zero access to even examples of how they should be.
You're nailing
the
it, man.
examples
And that's
that they have.
you're nailing
Yeah,
it.
the examples
It's the
that
access.
they have are
You just
are
used a big
gang
word.
life
You
and-
just used a big word. A big fucking word is access.
Yeah.
yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't have youth centers in inner cities or even in our area. If these kids don't have access.
You know what I think about
That's
all
where
the time?
we should channel. That's where all this tax money and all of our focus should be fucking channeled.
Yeah. Well, fuck it coming from tax money though, because it can't come from government. It really does have to come from society.
If I'm paying tax money,
You know?
so if I want to feel giddy inside when I fucking get my taxes yanked out of my fucking paycheck, for
Good luck.
I want to know it's going towards something
Yeah.
towards this country and towards something fucking good.
I have a lot to say about taxes and how we could actually change that system. But, you know, again, government is not going to fix a problem that government started. It's only going to come from us as a society. And what I would really like to see is people within our community and, you know, our political demographic to actually make an effort to go outside of that. You know, I talk to the black community all the time about gun rights and racism and all these different things, and you know, all their phobias and all the put it this way. I say to people all the time, black people specifically, what do you think would happen if you went to a gun range and said, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help? You'd be at some motherfucker's house for dinner that night.
Yeah.
That's what they think?
No, they think they're going to encounter a bunch of racist people that don't want them there, that don't want anything to do with them, and they don't understand that this is a community of people. We don't segregate ourselves because of skin color. We segregate ourselves because, quite frankly, we're under attack for being just, for being right, and we're being attacked for it because we don't speak up and we don't stand up for it. And, you know, I have a call to action to people in our community to, instead of you know, just detesting politics and voting for Trump, to actually step outside your comfort zone and actually go into a community of people and say, hey, I would like to show you what I know if you don't have access to it, if you're interested into it. You know, like I think about how many how low the statistic of black hunters is. You know, and how little they know about gun rights and how little they know about this freedom and a Make America Great that we talk about. And they don't know what we're talking about. They think we're talking about, oh, well, America was great when it was a racist country. That's not what we're actually talking about. We're talking about this independence. And they have no example. They have no guidance to say, there's an option for me to go this way. And it's not just going to manifest itself. It's only going to come with us stepping outside of our comfort zone and going into these communities and meeting people. You know, if I meet say I meet a black person, I'm just having a random conversation, I might actually make the conscious decision to bring up hunting because I have a feeling that they're not going to have any idea about what I'm talking about. Right. I don't want to mention the weather. I don't want to say, it's going to be a cold winter this year. I want to start talking about guns because I know they're going to be uncomfortable.
Right. Fucking ice a 10-point
buck
bow.
Maybe,
a buck though.
Maybe it's going to make them uncomfortable and make them start asking questions. And when they start asking questions, I see they have this interest. I'm going to say, hey, come to the range with me.
Yeah.
Come shooting with me. Come learn what it takes to actually go and purchase a gun. Come find out what regulations there actually are in place. You look at people who are detest gun rates, and they don't know the difference between the semi-automatic and a fully automatic. They don't know the difference between, you know, a bump stock, you know, and stock, you know, like, and if we don't want to lose this country, we gotta be proactive.
We need to be more proactive about it and reach out, you know. And like that's like one thing this podcast that you know, that's something that I think all three of us hope to do is that that we can reach other people and get them involved in these things. You know what I mean? And like, man, particularly minorities, because we need those people as
we have
advocates.
to pay attention to minorities.
You know what I mean? Like,
we have to, because they're our last hope.
Yeah.
The fact is that these people that are out here, these people who describe themselves as liberals, especially liberals, not Democrats, because they do understand, like, look, I'm not a political figure, but I want people to be free.
Ballsy does.
Hold on. For your viewers, is it better? Is it better or not?
It is better. It is better.
Like
but did you cut your fucking thumb off?
Just a little bit.
just a touch. I'm bleeding I'm bleeding out.
All right, fellas. Look, we're running pretty long here, so let's wrap this up. Does anybody have anything else that they want to briefly touch on?
Run for president, and I'll vote for you.
Yeah, man.
You got the skinny ties, you got the Beatles tie on, and everything.
Guys, first off, I thank you for appreciating it.
That's a nice
I like
tie.
the tie. It's a nice tie.
Sharp.
If I had to say anything, I would say that we need to have conversations that are uncomfortable. We need to organically, on our own, step outside of our comfort zone. We need to try to understand the perspective of people from the other side, because the opposition to people like us You know, they're not doing this because they hate us.
They're
doing this because they want to have something better and they don't know how to. And there's only one side politically that's telling them we're going to do something better for you, and that's you know, that's the Democratic left. You know, that's the government saying, you know, give us more power and we're going to take care of you. And
guess
that's
what?
not the case.
Let me know if the inner cities get better in the next 4 years.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Let me know. Let me know.
But there
Not a
won't.
chance.
And that's what he's
Not
saying.
a
is
chance.
That, you know what? We can
Who's moving their
we
business?
And I'm not gonna say-
we can reach out and show anybody who wants to listen. If we just speak out a little bit more, then that's the only chance we really have. Is that we have to talk about these things, have these uncomfortable conversations. You know.
You know,
Like-
and I can speak from this personally. Is like being someone of African American descent that is a hunter, that is a conservative. The impact that I have on my community by doing that, this one person who goes out there and speaks
Exponential.
something different, it's never been heard
Unreal.
before.
That's
It's never been
unreal.
heard before.
And I respect that.
You know, if every person that is involved in our political alignment actually says, in this year, just this year, I'm going to see a black person. I'm going to be racist for a minute. You know, I'm going to see a black person. I'm going to say, hey, they might not know what I know. They might be happier if they know what I know. And I'm actually going to make the attempt to actually reach out to this person from another aisle and involve them in my life with hopes that they actually see a side, because there's good people on all sides of things on the political spectrum.
And there's
we
always
have to
bad
reach out
people.
to them. There is always bad people.
course.
And
People need to get that in their head.
Yeah.
There is always bad people, and they ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. And they're just
But we're under attack.
we're
We're under attack. And if we don't change our approach, we're going to lose. We're going to lose.
Yeah,
We're going to lose our gun rights.
not
We're going to
working.
lose our hunting rights. It's not working. We're going to lose.
Yeah, we need to all everybody
We need to do something different.
needs to be more outspoken and talk about these things. And like you're saying, if you hunt and you love your way of life in America right now, you love having your Second Amendment rights, your hunting rights and stuff like that, you need to get it. You need to at least talk about it and be open about it. Don't sit there and be like, oh I lost my guns in a boating accident, or like I fucking
Make a phone call. Call your senators.
talk about it. Be
Call
open
people.
about it. These are our rights.
Call your elected employees.
it's-
They're not officials. They're employees.
But here's the deal.
All of them.
But here's the deal. So you have to put yourselves or ourselves in other people's shoes.
Yeah.
And those people have to do the same.
Yeah.
It's not, well, I don't have a gun, so guns are bad.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
that guy has a gun, so let me put myself in that guy's shoes for a minute and see where he's standing. There's none of that.
No.
So you have to put yourself in other people's shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah.
Walk a mile in my shoes. That's all.
People don't want to do it anymore. They love to listen to the media, and they love to just
That's
go that way.
That's the problem. Just if there's one thing I could say, my quote for this podcast to wrap it up is going to be walk a mile in my shoes.
No.
Yeah.
See my perspectives. I'll see your perspectives.
Offer your shoes to others.
Here
You are nailing it.
Here are my
Give them.
Here are my boots.
raggedy ass
Yep.
boots.
Here are these Justins. Put them on.
That's-
And I'll put yours on. Whatever you got.
Yeah. Talk about it. That's what we need to do.
Because honestly, as Americans, we're not group members. We're individuals, and our perspectives are shaped by our experience.
Absolutely.
If you think differently than I do, then you've lived different experiences.
Absolutely.
And I can benefit from learning your experience,
And I can
you
learn from
learn
you,
Yep.
and you can learn from
yours.
me.
Yes. So.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Beers and Deers podcast coming at you live from Seasatucky, Maryland.
Hell yeah.
Good one.
We hope you enjoyed that one. We'll see you next week.
If you
Appreciate
if you
tuning
feel
out.
the way I do, call your elected employees, please.
Yeah, get out there and let's talk about it, fellas. Have a good one. We'll see you.